What's up, YouTube? This is Framinthor again, and I'm still not wearing any pants. I'm not gonna prove it because I will get banned. So, or will I? I don't know. I think there's plenty of people without pants on YouTube. I mean, there are people having stuff shoved into their unholy places on YouTube too. So, I think everything goes now on YouTube, right? We're pretty close to like anything goes. But yeah, anyways, so another video by Accolonn. This is the second one that I want to react to today. World of Warcraft Dragonflight is about to change everything. Let's see, hopefully they make things really fun. I always wondered how Warlord's supposed to turn out. I miss my garrison. Banned. Permabanned. Never want to see. Oh god. Yeah, as always, before I do a react, I'm gonna read the comments and then I'm gonna react, okay? I do things differently around here. We're wild like that. In a way, Legion artifacts were a pre-mop spec talent tree on an item. Yeah. But you got every talent eventually, for your spec. Yeah. Yeah. Talent trees would have worked and been kept from getting out of control if, instead of just adding something to the end, they clipped the boring talents. X has a higher crit chance or increased the damage of Y, made them baseline, and then added options that changed the gameplay in new and interesting ways. I liked having options where I could opt to give my raid group more utility, or I could be more valuable in the dungeon party, even if it meant I was putting up less numbers per se than players with different builds or specs. I like Kata, but I didn't like that everything from before just ceased to exist. I think expansion should be adding things to the tail end of the game and not revamping it every so often, and the stuff is just so bad that's what... I mean, I think people are missing the irony here. What expansion means. You expand. Why are we removing talents instead of expanding on the talents? You know, stuff like that. Yeah. I don't think borrowed power is inherently bad. It is not. It's totally fine. It's the acquisition. Every fucking time, it's the acquisition. For me, it's the bullshit grind that feels like you're leveling after you already hit max level. I don't mind leveling if I hit max level, but they make it a bit like leveling is less tedious than doing some of the stuff they do for their systems. This makes it extremely hard to want to play an alt. I understand working towards something you want, but making it mandatory to actually have every power you need is ridiculous. And as a PvP player, I don't have any interest in grinding dungeons, quests, raids, or whatever the F it takes to not get F'd in arena. The concept I could never wrap my head around was how a new race that was technologically advanced to cross the expanse of space, crash land on Azeroth, and the best weapons they could find were crossbows, staves, daggers, etc. Fast forward to Legion and we are traversing space again, but this time my druid gets either fist weapons or a staff that is an artifact. I won't even get started on the armor. WoW was diagnosed with a cancer in TBC, it died fully with WoD. I, for one, am glad that we are returning to the ways things were before. The denizens of Azeroth never needed anything more than their might and magic to protect the world from a threat. Oh, you guys didn't see it. There we go. Let's see what people are telling this Bumbaclat. You mean a game that exists in a fictional universe doesn't follow logic of the real one? Huh. You think this universe is real? Are you... did I legit think this guy has something wrong? The Exert doesn't travel through space. It is magical. It teleports. Interesting. It is most definitely a spaceship that could traverse the stars. It teleports. Dingus. I mean, we saw it teleport during the raid, right? So technically it teleports.
I think a lot of people underestimate just how important philosophy...
If it was traveling, Sargeras would have caught onto it. It was teleporting from area to area and then crash landed onto Draenor. I believe that was the original story, something like that.
Is, and Breach actually talked about that in his video. I don't know if you guys follow the news. I'm sure there's a lot of you that do follow the news.
The news?
Breach didn't get access to...
Drama alert news or actual? Oh, Breach not getting alpha access? Yeah, I mean, he said he's not covering the game, so I don't think they thought they should give him alpha as a content creator for WoW if he's not gonna cover it. Makes sense to me. If once he said he's gonna cover it, he got alpha access. I mean, there's no misunderstanding there.
The alpha. Breach then said in his stream he was a little bit fucking hurt that he didn't get alpha access.
Why?
And then Blizzard finally gave him
of course
alpha access, but Blizzard also met with him. So there was an actual meeting and Breach was able to talk to the people of Blizzard. And even Breach said this, right? There's a philosophical change in the way that Blizzard is approaching World of Warcraft that's the thing that people should be focused on. So whenever people say, oh my god, it's so copium.
It is. Wanna hear about their philosophical change? Just look at SOAR. Just look at SOAR. That's all there is to it. Just look at SOAR. That's enough philosophical change. They took something that people enjoyed that doesn't matter overall in the grand scheme of things. It, like, even in the not grand scheme of things, it really didn't matter. And what did they do? They nerfed it. For what? Oh, now it's 700%? Are you telling me? Okay, so before it was 930%, let's say 900%, right? When it was 900%, their excuse was something about pet battles and raids and like all farming old content and mods and stuff like that. That was like it gave them an unfair advantage. Are you telling me at 700 speed they don't have the same advantage? What kind of bullshit argument was that? Like they just didn't want to be so fast. Just say we didn't like it being so fast. It caused clipping with the game for some people or some shit like that. I don't know. People who have lower connection will experience technical issues, so we had to lower it. Then everyone will be like, you know what? Yeah, fair. That's fine. It sucks because I can't enjoy it, but yeah, it's fair. Not some bullshit about pet battles and raids. That shows their philosophy the most, if you want to talk about philosophy. And yeah, you are, I wouldn't say copium, but hopium for sure.
You know, Blizzard always promised that they're going to do things differently and then they never fucking listen. What you're not keeping in mind is the philosophical change, which is the thing that you should get excited for. You shouldn't be excited for individual changes. Legion was a good expansion.
What are the philosophical changes in Dragonflight? I honestly want someone to just list them. Philosophical changes in Dragonflight that is different from before.
Let me see a show of hands.
Yeah,
Who here enjoyed Legion? Who in chat thought that Legion was a really, really cool expansion?
Yeah, it was a good expansion overall. But not because of artifact power. Artifact power only became cool at 7.1. Artifact power was... Okay, sorry, let's rephrase that. Artifact power was cool at 7.0 because it was new. In 7.1, it was a lot more accessible and you could play your other specs more comfortably. You didn't feel punished for not playing. And I remember the forums. I remember how many people were complaining that they cannot use multiple specs on the same character because they cannot AP grind for that many specs. Okay? The problems were already there at the beginning. The only thing is they fixed it at 7.1. Oh, Blizzard's listening. They made the same mistakes, like, and then BFA came. Right? It's like, no, every fucking X.0 is gonna be dog shit. Straight up, every time, no exception. I don't care what their philosophy is, how much they're listening. There was never a X.0 except WoD for like 3 weeks where an expansion was good in WoW. Every time it was some dumbass system, every time it was some bullshit, unbalanced garbage. There was always something. Something was always bad at X.0, and then they fixed it in X.1, and X.2 was the actual release of an expansion when everything is fucking doable. When you can actually play the fucking game. Okay? So yeah, I don't care how much you think their philosophy changed, it really didn't. Not in my book. I haven't seen anything that indicates that it did. Show of hands. Stop sucking on that, bro.
A lot of people. All right.
Yes.
Well, what if I were to tell you that everything that made BFA and Shadowlands shit was in Legion?
You are 100% correct. However, what you're not taking into account in Legion, it was new. Mythic Plus was new, and also the dungeon design was good up until Cohen. Okay? Raids were still good. Artifact power system was good. AP grind was kinda good because it was new. Okay? Because it was new, it was good. As soon as it was a copy paste in BFA and the worst version of it, yeah, that was not good. Same with Shadowlands. So yeah, saying that it's like, well, everything we got in BFA and Legion and the Shadowlands because of Legion, okay, sure. And everything we got Cataclysm, Mop, and WAD is because of Wrath of the Lich King. Are you gonna say Wrath of the Lich King wasn't a good expansion?
Legion is the reason that BFA and Shadowlands was as
Sure.
shit as it was.
Yeah, no. Blizzard is the reason BFA and Shadowlands was the way that it was. Legion had nothing to do with it, because Legion, it was fine because it was new and novel. Same with like, ooh, Dungeon Finder in Wrath of the Lich King? That's fine. Only problem is, it didn't carry on that way.
Because it's true. Legion was the first time that Blizzard tried this borrowed power thing.
Yeah.
The only thing that saved Legion was the fact that the borrowed power was actually fucking interesting.
No. I would argue BFA armors were by, what do you call it? Philosophically, if they put in effort, would have been way more interesting as far as combinations than the artifact power. And the corruption would have been way more interesting than the artifact power. If it was a brand new design, but it wasn't. It was just like, you know, it's like it's a different system, but the design is very much the same. I would say the biggest thing that Legion had going for it is that the artifacts, most of them had at least some cool ass fucking lore behind it. And let's be real, Paladins got the Ashbringer. They literally fucked Paladins over in Legion so many times, and the reason was, well, at least you got the Ashbringer.
Artifact weapons was new, it was shiny, people loved it.
Yes, it was
One
new
of
and
the
shiny.
things people loved about the artifact weapons, and this is why I believe Legion was actually as good as it was, people didn't think that the artifact weapons were going to go away.
Everyone knew they were gonna go away. You can't, like, you're not gonna maintain the weapon throughout the expansions. What next? You're gonna introduce an artifact armor that you're never gonna let go of? Everyone knew they were gonna go away. What?
I remember seeing the posts everywhere, and
No, everyone was hoping, everyone was like begging for them to not go away. Thank God they did, by the way. It would have been pretty damn boring if they didn't. But everyone knew they were going to go away.
YouTube videos everywhere where people were talking about what Blizzard could potentially do with the artifact weapons moving forward. Because remember, up until that point, whenever a system was introduced into World of Warcraft, that system was now forever, right? That would be a system that is now just part of our lives.
No. First of all, that was the... I mean, if you consider garrisons as a system, then that's already a no. What other system was introduced ever? Mop legendaries, they went away with Mop. Cataclysm, I had 2 legendaries, I believe, or something. The daggers and like a staff, I think. That went away with Kata. There was never any system that stayed throughout the expansions. No one was assuming, like, at least I haven't seen anyone assuming that the artifact weapons would stay. That they were hoping that it would stay and be expanded on, but no one was assuming that.
Legion was the first time that a system was created that was meant to be only for that expansion. Yep.
Garrisons. Legendary cloaks. What?
Here is the big problem. In order to make that system, Blizzard basically took half of Warlord of Draenor. They stopped working on Warlord of Draenor, moved most of their developers over to Legion, and they basically took extra time in order to make sure that that system worked because it was brand new and shiny, and they were really going to go out of their way to make this
And it didn't. They had to fix it 7.1.
work. For BFA, they couldn't do that
Just people didn't care so much because it was new and shiny.
because Legion was going well, so everyone was hands on deck trying to deliver content to Legion. BFA couldn't have the same level of personal system or borrowed power system, so the system we got in BFA was terrible. No one was excited for Azerite powers. Like, Azerite armor was just a complete failure from...
I would say that's not true. No one was excited for Azerite power once they saw what it was and how it functioned. That because they had experience with the Legion stuff. They seen a similar system in Legion where it was working, and then they saw Azerite power and Azerite armor, and they saw how it's not gonna work. Especially the fact that you couldn't change talents. Especially the fact that the talents were fucking passive and dog shit, and they didn't add anything interesting. And especially because it was introduced as something that would replace tier sets. There was so much negative about the Azerite power that had nothing to do with it being a system. Just the envision of the Azerite power, what it was supposed to represent, was falling so short of what it actually did. Right? It's like, oh, this is gonna be so awesome. It's gonna be, instead of tier sets, it's gonna give you customization to your class. It's gonna do all of these cool things. It's farmable-ish, right? Not farmable. Not targetable. What do you call it? Couldn't drop it Mythic Plus for some reason. Boring ass talents. Could not change them on demand. Like if you already picked something, it's locked until later on with the NPC that could change them, which drained your bank account when if you're doing different content all the time. Yeah, there were so many problems with Azerite, and literally was told, like, people noticed this. Preach made a video about Azerite power and said how bad it is in the beta, and they said it's gonna be fine. Yeah, I wonder why people have no faith in Blizzard. You can't blame Legion for the bad decisions of BFA. BFA system would have been good if they changed those things. Make it more interesting in terms of power, so it actually replaces tier sets. Make it accessible, make it obtainable, make it targetable. No one would have a problem with Azerite power. Ever. And then corruption, same thing. Essences were a cool system. But needed to grind a bit? Yeah, but essences were a pretty cool system.
From start to finish. Not a single one of the Azerite traits were interesting. People
That was the problem.
Fucking understand why the...
And also, don't forget, in the artifact weapon, almost all of the stuff there were not interesting. The only interesting stuff really in the artifact weapon were the 3 big golden stuff that changed the gameplay. Such as your Divine Storm shoots forward, such as Wake of Ashes, right? Like, well, the Wake of Ashes is like the ability you got with the weapon, but whatever, you get my point, right? It's like, yeah, none of this was like, most of the abilities in the artifact weapon were just as shit as the Azerite power. Like it doesn't, like as the Azerite gear.
Neck is
It
the
was
thing
just
that you
not
level
new.
up, but then the armors are the thing where you get the sort of perks. It would have been better if the neck was also the thing where you got the perks.
It did eventually, and that's how you got essences, because people didn't like the armor as a whole.
Shadowlands, same thing. A watered down version of artifact weapons.
Yep.
And because it's watered down, people aren't as excited for it, which means it fails. But Legion, for all intents and purposes, should have failed as well.
It wouldn't, of course not. It was, first of all, was decently well designed. But the biggest perk of it all was it was new. Why Mythic Plus was so much fun in Legion and not so much fun in BFA. Trust me, even in BFA, if the dungeon design was as garbage as it was post-Cohen, but Mythic Plus was a new system, people would not mind it because it was new. Yeah.
It was literally saved because its borrow power system worked. That was a philosophical change from Blizzard, and that philosophy that Blizzard had is the reason that BFA and Shadowlands failed.
No. It's not the borrow power problems, it's the acquisition of them. They can add as much borrow power as you want. Make it acquirable, make it so you can play multiple specs, make it so you can play multiple classes, make it so you can try multiple builds. They're not doing it. I haven't seen anything about the game that says loot is more accessible. You can get more loot. It'll be more easier to get the loot that you want so you can try different shit. Not one post, not any information about that. And that is the main problem. It doesn't matter if it's a borrowed system, if it's like a real system, if it's like something that stays throughout the years. No one cares. Make the game accessible. Make it stop wasting your time. Make raids last fucking 1 hour of boss fights instead of 4 hours of trash wipes. There's so many problems with the game. It's the borrowed power is like the least of it.
Fundamentally, it's that philosophy from Blizzard. The borrowed power system, the idea that an expansion can exist on its own and every expansion can be its own little thing.
Totally can. Not even a problem. Games have been doing that for years. Not sure which ones, but I'm just saying. Probably have been. But yeah, borrowed power is not the problem. Look, okay. Here's the best example. You know how borrowed power is not the problem? I haven't heard anyone that didn't like corruption system. Not one. That's a borrowed power. Not even for an expansion. For 8 months, I think. That was corruption gear. 8 months, people were loving the fuck out of it. It was so much fun. So many crazy builds. You know what the problem was? Good luck making 3 crazy builds. In 8 months, you couldn't make 3 crazy builds because good luck getting the fucking corruption you want. Without grinding your ass off to the point of madness. Actually becoming corrupt in real life.
It clearly failed. BFA was miserable. Shadowlands was miserable. And now we're going to Dragonflight, and Blizzard have completely changed their philosophy.
No. They haven't changed their philosophy. They just said, no more borrowed power. That's all they did. That's not changing philosophy. That's like, well, we admit defeat. That's it. Like, yeah, borrowed power. We didn't know how to manage it, so we admit defeat. That's it. What's the change in the philosophy, though?
They've gone back to the idea of, wait, what if we make systems that is just now part of the game and they exist forever, or at least for multiple expansions?
Like what? The talents? You had talents since Classic. Classic to Cataclysm had one set of talents, I believe, till Cataclysm. Actually, no, Cataclysm might have already changed to the current ones. Either way. Classic, TBC, and Wrath had their talents. Cataclysm, I think, already changed to the newer talents with Mop, WAD, Legion, BFA, and Shadowlands. Look, it's a system that lasted throughout the years! What's your point? That doesn't make it good.
That is why you can get excited for World of Warcraft and not have it be copium. Because I'm not getting excited for Dragonflight. I'm not getting excited for the talent trees. I'm getting excited because the philosophy works. How do I know it works? Because it worked for vanilla. It worked.
How did it work for vanilla? There are no, vanilla is dead. No one is playing it. How did it work for vanilla? All vanilla did was get a bunch of nostalgic Andes to play at once. And that's it. Vanilla worked.
For TBC. It worked for...
Yes, it worked for TBC. How is it that a game that used to have 13 million players, even retail had, Shadowlands had 4 to 5 million players when it launched. TBC barely scrapes 400,000. I think it's 350,000 players. What are you talking about? It worked.
Wrath. It worked for Kata. It worked for Mist of Pandaria.
Oh, wait. He's talking about, Okay. He's talking about like not like the remake, like the classic or like vanilla or whatever. He's talking about like the actual game. Okay, let me.
Works. I'm excited for the talent trees. I'm getting excited because the philosophy works. How do I know it works? Because it worked for vanilla.
Vanilla, let's see. The only MMO that had no competition at all was the smoothest MMORPG with a lot of people who loved World of Warcraft 3, who were already addicted to the story and just joined Warcraft. That had, I think, vanilla had like what, 5 million players?
It worked for TBC.
It worked for TBC, the first expansion to World of Warcraft. Again, and what did they use then? Oh yeah, they used Illidan to sell it. Who's Illidan? Oh yeah, major character in Warcraft 3. Yeah. It's the philosophy of WoW is what made TBC good. Yeah. Tell me about it. Yeah, the philosophy. It's not about people like WoW, Blizzard making the smart choice and using characters that people actually loved from the story and made them into the ultimate nemesis. You know what? Why else Legion was so good? They brought back Illidan. That's why.
It worked for Wrath. It worked.
Wow, Wrath. Let me see. Who was in Wrath? Oh, the actual Lich King. Oh my god, like Arthas, like the main character, like one of the main characters in Warcraft 3 that beat Illidan, and now he's sitting atop of a frozen throne, and you're gonna go there and you're gonna kick his ass? God damn, man. Oh, no, sorry, like, no one cared about that. It was all about the game's philosophy. Yeah, that's, yeah, 100%. That's exactly why I'm not playing Wrath of Lich King, because I can't deal with the old philosophy. It's not because I already did that and I don't have that much emotion towards Arthas, especially after they did him so fucking dirty in Shadowlands.
It worked for Kata. It worked for Mist of Pandaria.
It worked for Kata. Didn't WoW drop from like 13 million people to 7 million or 5 million or 6 million, something like that in Kata? Like end of Wrath towards Kata? Isn't that what happened? Yeah. Okay.
And it.
Oh yeah, he said it worked for Mist of Pandaria. Hasn't WoW been losing subscribers every expansion more and more? Isn't the reason that by the time Legion came, WoW basically was a Legion kind of saved WoW for like a good year and a half. But other than that, though, it feels like WoW has been like quote unquote dying up until Legion, right? It's like it just kept hemorrhaging fucking subscribers. People just kept on leaving because the philosophy worked. Yeah. That must be it. That must be it.
Did not work for Warlords of Draenor, but let's be real, Blizzard kind of gave up on Warlords of Draenor.
So the only explanation he has for what is that the philosophy was still good, but because Blizz gave up on Worlds of Draenor, the expansion was bad. But the philosophy was good, Accolonn. What do you mean? So like, are you telling me the philosophy had nothing to do with what being shit? How could that be though? But the philosophy, they had the philosophy. They didn't have borrowed power in WoD. They had a garrison. It was free shit, right? The talent system were still there. The same talent system from Kata or MOP. It was still the same system. Their philosophy didn't change, but somehow they lost 50% of their subscribers during WoD. But the philosophy, Accolonn. How is it possible?
Draenor, before it could actually really shine through. And I realized there's going to be people that go, oh my god, Kata sucked. Fuck you. I enjoyed Cataclysm. I thought Cataclysm was perfectly fine.
Yeah, it only lost one of the biggest amount of subscribers. But again, with the inflated number of Wrath, understandable. Let's see. Was Kata good? That's a loaded question. I don't think Kata was bad. I don't think it had anything to do with the philosophy, though. I think Hyjal was a good nostalgic zone for especially people who play Warcraft 3. Firelands, good story, great boss fights, really like changed the dynamic, like changed how bosses are in WoW. Made it a lot harder, sure, but like really changed the what to expect from raid bosses in WoW. I think did a great job with that. Last raid was a fucking shame though. Like, let's be real. Like some of the spine battle. Whatever. Good experiment, good try, but yeah, I'll give him that. Lore wise, I mean it kind of conflicts with today's lore, but whatever. Sure, lore was decent. Again, we got Illidan, we got Malfurion, we got what's her name? The leader of the Night Elves, the female chick. What's her name? Jesus Christ, Tyrande. We got young Tyrande, so she was different, right? Not the tyrant she is now. Again, lore-wise, was kind of interesting. Again, playing with the timelines, kind of interesting. Sure, I'll give it that. Yeah, not a bad expansion overall, but I can't say that Kata was magnificent either. Right? It's like, I mean, again, if you enjoy it. I'm not saying like for the most part, Kata was fine. Like I don't have major complaints about Kata. Dungeons a bit too hard. Like mobs were just hitting hard. Again, the dungeon philosophy there was kind of like rough, but whatever. It wasn't like a big deal.
It wasn't as good as Wrath of the Lich King. It wasn't as good as Mist of Pandaria. But it was good. I think Cataclysm quite often suffers from people just being at a high in in Wrath of the Lich King.
Yeah.
And, Kata was never going to live up to the hype of killing Arthas.
No, no one would.
Being in Northrend. It was never going to live up to that. But overall, I thought the dungeons were really cool in Cataclysm. I thought the raids were really cool. But it was the philosophy that made it successful.
I'm just going to say one word. Well, 3 words. Warlords of Draenor.
So I believe that this is what we might see again with Dragonflight. I'm looking.
Or we're gonna see another Warlords of Draenor. Yeah, you never know. It's the same philosophy.
Looking forward to it because it may actually be the first time in a really long time that people are once again hyped for World of Warcraft.
There was more hype for Shadowlands than there is for Dragonflight. Just gonna say it like that. You do with that as you will.
And I don't mean people being addicted to World of Warcraft. I mean genuine hype. When's the last time people were actually just hyped? Where?
Legion and Shadowlands. Honestly, even BFA people were hyped. Mostly because of the cinematic. Mostly because they thought it was gonna be, well, about BFA at least, they thought it was gonna be a massive fucking fight. PvP. Oh, that was a good one. Yeah, people were hyped for Legion. People were hyped for BFA. They thought, especially the cinematic with Sylvanas, let's be real. Who was not hyped for that? Who did not have the Sylvanas caption in all of their videos for BFA? Let's be real. The hype was real for BFA. Expectations were kind of shattered. Standards were lower, but even for Shadowlands, people were hyped. You know why? Because you cannot have 2 bad expansions, because people were following the rule of, well, Kata, Mob, WoD, Legion, BFA, Shadowlands, it has to be good. I have 3 collector's editions here to prove it, because I was like, yo, Shadowlands gonna be fucking hype. I'm gonna buy them and I'm gonna resell them. Well, that was a fucking mistake. But yeah, anyways, yeah, I have very low expectations for Dragonflight, and you know how the saying goes, the proof is in the pudding, and the pudding has been spoiled for 4 years, so...
All of us could be excited for what the game has to offer. That's a magical fucking feeling, and I don't care whether you hate the game or love the game.
I want the game to be good. I don't see anything that makes the game good. I don't see any changes that would make the game good. A change in philosophy regarding an arbitrary system does not necessarily make the game good. You know what? Okay, let's go with your philosophy. No more borrowed power. However, now Mythic Plus, you have a 20% chance to receive 1 item per run. Run with it. See how fast that game dies. I just want the game to be fucking good. It's not too much to ask. I want to be able to play the patch and be able to play more than one fucking character. Is that too much to ask? I want to be relevant to an extent if I stop playing and the next patch comes out. Oh, well, everything you work for is irrelevant. Here, buy some gear that is a higher item level than everything you've worked for like half a year. No, that's not how it should be, okay? Item level is jumping way too high. Loot is not as, like, you can't target the loot you want. Loot is so fucking random. I want to have a specific build. I want my paladin to have 30% crit, 30% haste, 40% mastery, like max 5% versatility, okay? That's what I want. I want that. How much time and effort am I gonna waste to get that, to get to those stats? Do you know? Probably all of the patch. At which point this would be irrelevant. And this is given that I would be doing my mythic pluses continuously, my heroic or mythic raid, whichever I decide to do, right? Continuously. Make my vault full every fucking week with PvP, PvE, mythic plus raids, whatever, right? Make my vault full, and still I will probably not get the stats that I want. Still. And you know why? Because, lest we forget, in patch X.0, the max secondary stats you can get are approximately 30 to 50% less than what you would get in the next patch. That's why you start the expansion feeling like you're a fucking turtle who can't fucking do any, like, either you don't have haste or you don't have crit. If you have high crit, you never get the chance to attack. You're always on GCD. Shit like that, right? You could barely get 40% mastery in 9.0, sorry. Now you can get 50, right? You just like, whatever. You want stats? Here are the stats. Why? Why are secondary stats like boosted up like crazy, right? Why is stamina jumping from plus 100 on a gear to plus 500 on a gear? Why? Why is this like massive inflation of gear? Why does that make sense? That means the game is demanding you to fucking go and hunt for gear. The problem is the game doesn't provide you the gear. Change in philosophy though. That's a good thing.
It is magical when there's like all of your friends and all the people in trade chat and everyone is just in love with the game at the same time.
Yeah.
I want that back. So
good luck.
Yes, I'm excited to see what this philosophy can ultimately mean.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
That is every time?
Yep.
Jay-Z, it's not every time.
It's every time. It's every time. I heard not necessarily in those words, but I heard there's a change in in Blizzard's attitude. Blizzard is finally listening. This. Just the fact that they say Blizzard is finally listening shows a change in philosophy. Doesn't mean that actually happens.
Because
because borrowed power.
So anyone that sort of goes, Shadowlands was fine, BFA was fine, are not paying attention to the truth.
No, it was dog shit. Not because of borrowed power, because of acquisition of borrowed power. All the borrowed power systems were good. Well, that's right, armor. Debatable. I mean, some people love the passives, but like it should have changed gameplay. It did not replace tier sets, whatever. Either way, aside from like let's say that one, essences fantastic, corruption fantastic. You know what sucked? Acquiring them sucked ass, right? Azerite armor, they just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. Okay, Shadowlands system. Look, covenants are a good system. You know what the problem is? Changing covenants was a problem. Mix and matching covenants is not available in the game. Why? What if I want to use the first ability from Kyrian and the second ability from Vantir. Why can't I do that? Or from second ability from Ardenwild. Why can't I do that? I want to be a wolf that throws a ton of hammers. Why? We're all allies. Fuck it. Why is that an issue? Because the acquisition and just how the systems interact is dog shit. The system itself is fine. What you're able to do with the system is the problem.
Blizzard would not have given up their borrowed power systems. Blizzard would not have gone above and beyond to fix the fucking game.
Did they though? What did they fix? Please enlighten me. Please tell me they fixed something.
If everything was fine. I'm sorry, in what universe are you living? In what universe do you look?
I mean, technically he's right. He's talking about, like, to the people who think that the Shadowlands and BFA were fine. Yes, he's right. The WoW is not fine. Yeah. To those people, you guys are delusional. WoW is not fine. If you think Shadowlands and BFA was fine, you got nothing coming. If you think Legion was fine, in certain times, I can easily argue, no, it wasn't. 7.0 was not fine. It was a good distraction, but Legendary Acquisition was dog shit. Not being able to play multiple specs was dog shit. Okay, up until the fix in 7.1, it was not that good. Okay, it was just easy to get distracted because of all the new shinies, but it wasn't that good. And again, it's not because of the power systems, not because of the borrowed powers. It's because the acquisition of the cool shit was barred behind fucking locked doors, bars in a bank vault.
Everything that Blizzard is doing now, and go, wow, all
What
those
is
people
everything?
that were fucking complaining
What is
in
everything?
Shadowlands, yeah, they were just complaining for the sake of complaining. The game was doing fine. If the game was doing fine, Ian and the team would have kept doing what they were doing in Shadowlands because it was working. Why would you change something that's working?
Man, do you really think people left because of the borrowed power? Do you really think that? People left because they realized that WoW is wasting their time and there's other games that are not wasting their time. They realized that running the same Mythic Plus 100 times to try and get the one fucking trinket that never drops, or like seeing it drop for somebody else, and after you ran it 100 times, this guy just came like out of nowhere. It's his first run, he gets it right away, and he's like, oh, he's done. The raids being way too fucking difficult for no fucking reason because of Race the World First. You think that's not the issue? You think it's the fucking borrowed power? Are you fucking serious?
The reason we got Legion in the first place, the reason Blizzard changed their philosophy, is because it became harder and harder to actually make the game. Because
So let me get this straight. The philosophy that was working through Classic, TBC, Wrath, Cataclysm, MOP, and WoD was not working because it made it so much harder for Blizzard to make the game, so they went to this other philosophy of borrowed power that is supposed to make the game easier to design. You know, I'm kinda not buying it. Not sure what about that particular spot, but kinda not buying that that's the reason.
systems kept building up on top of one another.
Well, okay, say that again. He's being non-congruent right now.
The reason Blizzard changed their philosophy is because it became harder and harder to actually make the game. Shadowlands because it was working. Why would you change something that's working? The reason we got Legion in the first place, the reason Blizzard changed their philosophy, is because it became harder and harder to actually make the game. Because the systems kept building up on top of one another.
But you said there were no systems before Legion. What systems are we talking about here, Accolonn? Just saying.
And it was just more and more difficult to actually maintain the power balances within World of Warcraft. So it was clearly not working for them, and they thought something new.
Yeah,
We
Legion.
need to get something new going, and that's where Legion was born.
Yeah.
Why did they give up on that? If it worked, they wouldn't have. So
Well, again, Legion worked. BFA Shadowlands didn't. Not because of the philosophy.
No. Shadowlands and BFA, I think we can now state with absolute certainty, was a miserable failure. And this is why Blizzard is now going sort of...
At least I agree on something here, yeah. BFA and Shadowlands were a miserable failure, yes.
Above and beyond to fix what was wrong there, and I, for one, fucking love that. I love the fact that Blizzard is doing that. Because I think the game needs it.
Yeah, this is what I've been saying about Accolonn changing his perspective about like WoW. It's like I honestly think he drank the Kool-Aid at this point. He's been injecting it through his veins. He's been sniffing it, taking up the bum, whatever, however you want to take your copium, whatever floats your boat. Yeah, hardcore copium doesn't even make a lot of sense at this point. It's really sad to see, you know. It's like he was, I don't know, man. Accolonn, bro, come back to us. Like you're on some next level shit. Like, I don't even know if you think that what you said right now is really what made WoW bad. Bro, I don't know what to tell you. I highly doubt that's anywhere near the actual issue. I would say WoW wasting your time is #1 issue. And so you can say, well, the grinds for the AP and whatever were wasting time. Dude, like, you don't have an actual AP grind in Shadowlands. It still wastes your time. What's your AP grind in Shadowlands? Anima? What do you need anima for? Cosmetics? That's not wasting your time. That's optional, doesn't add power. Who cares? Go for it. You want to farm anima? Go for it. That's not a time waster. That's a time sink, but it's not necessarily wasting your time. So how did Shadowlands waste your time? With its borrowed power, it didn't. It delayed, you know, it time gated. It made it so you couldn't switch unless like you had to wait like 2 weeks or some shit. Like, yeah, those were the problems. It wasn't like, it's just time wasting. It has nothing to do with the borrowed power. It's just the implementations. Yeah, man, I think we lost him until you know, he gets a dose of realism during Dragonflight. That's just how it is. Alright, guys. That's all I got for today. I'll see you in the next one. It is a sad day. Hold the flag, hold the candle for Accolonn. Hopefully he'll be back to reality sooner rather than later. Peace out.